Rice Spain Group supports the legacies of HBCUs. Hello, this is Lacy Rice Jr. with Rice Fame Group, welcoming you to chat with HBCU Champions, Season 3, Episode 10, with head coach Nile Legania from Dillard University Track and Field and Women's Cross Country, whose programs won the Women's Cross Country Championship and the men and women's track and field championships for the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference this year. So congratulations, coach, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always good to see you. Always Absolutely. Good to see you. And you are also one of our 2022-2023 recipients of the Makita Excellence Awards. Actually, the 2 years that we've done it, you've won awards. Both years, I think the first year you won, you just swept everything, cross country and track and field.
Nah, it's been a good run.
Okay, all right. And so congratulations for everything you've done down there at Dillard. And I know you have a very interesting backstory to how you came there. So I'll go ahead and let you tell that backstory.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a local kid, New Orleans, born and raised. I was a head coach at Endicott High School for 10 years. Dr. Barnes, Kiki Baker Barnes, who's now the commissioner over the conference, she hired me during COVID, 2020. And then it's been all fun and games from since then, man. I've been enjoying myself. I think Dr. Bell is doing a great job since taking over as the athletic director. And I see the program moving like really fast in a very short period of time. So I think it's just been a pleasure just to be able to continue to be the head coach at the university.
Okay. All right. And so also tell us about your athletic experience.
Yeah, so I was a dual athlete in high school, went to college for football, played some arena football. But in high school, I was a 10-4 guy in 100. So I understood, I had speed. I was the first person in my school history to win an individual state championship in 100 meters in 1999, I think. So it feels so long ago, right? So that, that's a little bit of my background. I did some personal training stuff. So I've been like engaged into movement for a very long time. I was a PE teacher for 8 years. So I was able to watch little kids develop from pre-K to 8th grade. So I was able to be around just movement for a very long time. And when I got in the track, it was like seamless. Like it was real easy for me to get somebody to move a certain kind of way.
Okay. All right. So it almost seems like if you want some success in whatever field you want to go into, you should become an elementary school teacher down there in New Orleans, because I know that's also D1's backstory. The rapper.
Yeah. Right. He was a teacher, so you will learn a lot from these little people in these walls in New Orleans. They are little people, but they are grown. They see and learn a lot of things really fast. So I was able to kind of, you talk to them, they're 5. So I have to talk to you as a 5-year-old. So I was able to do that. And then in the evening, go coach high school kids. So I'm going up 12 to 13 years, in between the early workplace and the late workplace. So that gave me I think a lot of things to put in my toolbox when it came to collegiately. Because you still have some kids that need that talking to like they're 5, and then you have some that need to talk to like they're an adult. So I think that helped me out and put a lot of things in my toolbox.
You know what? I never really thought about that. That level of communication skills that you have to have when you're dealing with that wide range of ages.
Yeah. And even in college, when you from 18 to 24, you're still dealing with maybe an 18-year-old that was sheltered at home. So, and that kid couldn't do anything for themselves. And you have a 20-year-old that does everything for themselves. That's two different types of conversations that you have to have. And I think being able to deal with 4-year-olds and 18-year-olds all in the same day kind of helped me with that progress.
Okay. All right. I feel you on that. Definitely feel you. Well, tell us about your team this year, the women's cross country, as well as your total track and field team. Who were some of your key athletes, and what were some of their accomplishments? If you want to break it down, you can break it down as well.
Yeah. So for cross country, we finished 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So we was able to we bought 6 girls, 5 of them was all conference. Brooklyn Acosta was our leader for the year. We have our track superstar Cavell Bird. Not sure why she loves doing cross country, but she does. She was also all conference. So we was really successful. The girls have won the last 3 years. And I think they take pride in doing that. And now coming in, we have a couple of more girls coming in. I think that'll help push that a little bit further. So we can do a little bit better at nationals. But pretty much the girls show up every cross country season. They're a great bunch. It's cross country. You don't see them often. Like you're going to run 8-9 miles. I'll see you when you get back. So you don't really see them, but when you do see them, it's still the same good energy and it's still the same kids that you brought in, even though now they're seniors. Like I had a bunch of them that seniors, and when I got you was babies coming out of high school. So, just to watch the progression from their first cross country meet to current is great, man. It's a great feeling. My little baby's growing up. But on the track side, on the men's side, we got Jamal Morris back. He had to sit out last season, and he had a phenomenal season. We didn't know we was going to have him this year. We had to work out some things, but we was able to get him back, and we was able to get him to qualify for indoor nationals. And I think that was just icing on the cake for him just to be back. The men's won our 4th consecutive conference championship. Jamal Morris was the MVP of the conference. The kid then won the South Region Athlete of the Year. And then he went to nationals, and the kid was All-American 3 or 4 times. He was national run-up in the 200, like running lifetime best. Like he was running out of his mind. You can tell that he missed it, and he was running out of his mind. But I think my highlight was the men's 4x4. We've been okay in that in previous years. And we never could get the combination down, but I think we got it down this year. We ran it one time in the regular season. We was number 1 all season. And then we got there, a couple of injuries and things, but we was able to come out All-Americans in it, breaking the school record. And I think they did a really good job. And the greatest part about it, that entire team is coming back. So I think we're going to be able to make just a little bit more noise in 2024, 2025. We got a freshman, Markel Miles, who ran 52.40 in the 400 hurdles, and he just getting his feet wet. He was All-American. Yeah, Mark Emilian, Darren Petty. So we got a great group of kids to go with Jamal. And we got a couple of kids that came in to fill some underneath that we needed. And I'm still looking for maybe 1 or 2 transfers at the halfway point, so we can kind of push that envelope just a little bit more. On the girl side is always the Cavell Bird show. And a lot of times you have a supporting cast. But this year, we had some odd girls, man, they stepped up. So it wasn't the Cavell Bird show. And, Cavell's going to do her thing. She's a 10-time All-American. But this year, a lot of our girls like Tori Burton, Tanaja Matthews, Tanaya Flowers, they stepped up to the plate. The women's 4x1 was All-Americans for the 2nd consecutive year. We actually got the women's 4x4 to nationals. So that was a big thing for us. I think we finished like 11th. So we just missed the finals. And I think we're starting to put the pieces together on the girl side. This might have been my biggest girls recruiting class. We have about 12 coming in. So I think we're going to be able to really fill some of those voids that we had, so we can make that 4x4, get to the next round. I got a young lady from Jamaica. I think she's going to be a great training partner for Cavell and the rest of the girls. And I think that'll be able to push us forward.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. And like I said, you came in during COVID.
Yes.
And so I don't think people really realize or they might have. Well, sometimes I hear people talking, they seem to forget when COVID actually was.
Right.
But that was not that long ago, and you came in pretty much dominating, winning conference champion every year you've been there. So kudos and hats off to you for such a great job.
No, I appreciate it. It's been a journey. It was different. Training with masks on, had to keep your mask on up until you got in the blocks. Like, it was a lot. You out there to track me as a coach with your mask on. So I think, that time had everybody crazy. But I think the one thing that I've learned in that avenue is just to stay ready, because you just never know, what's next. And the kids became close knit because of that. Like, you have to have like kickbacks with just your team, because we're all coordinated together, core team together. So, we all was always around each other. So it was just easier for us to do things, away from everybody. So I think that kind of made the team come a little closer. And that class just graduated. So that was my biggest men's class. I wish those kids nothing but the best. A lot of them already got jobs because they was locked in. They came and, we always won academic awards, and that's a testament, to their hard work inside the classroom. But to see all those guys graduate and all those guys have like a career that's ready to start, I'm proud of that.
Okay. Well, that's a lot to be proud of, because even though they are athletes, they're students first.
Right.
And that's what you go to college for. You go to college to study and graduate, not to be sitting around, not to be like, and I might be dating myself, but that's because I've been watching A Different World. That's my show. I watched every rerun probably about 50 times now. Everybody's not made to be a Shaka Zulu, the 6-year undergrad who still wasn't close to graduating.
Right. Now, I always say you got to come in and get out. That's the goal. Come in, stay over 3.0. If you stay over 3.0, you're on pace to graduate. Anything under that, you're probably retaking classes, and you're in a real tough spot. So like I always tell them, just 3.0. That's win in the classroom, win on the track. Love y'all. See y'all in the future. Like, it's just that easy.
Right. Okay. Well, tell us a bit about your conference and the competition, and well, first thing I'm going to say about your conference, I mentioned earlier that you won the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, but that conference is no longer in existence. It's now the HBCU Athletic Conference.
Yes. It's still gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have to go through us if you're trying to get any kind of success. I know they bringing in, I think Stillman has a track team, Voorhees, they're pretty decent, but the Bucks still go through us. Name change or whatever the case is, we still gonna show up and show out, because that's what we've been doing for the last 4 years. In order to stop that train, you have to have a train to stop it. So we just gonna go out and do what we doing. The kids take pride in being nationally ranked, not conference champions. So that's our biggest thing, is to continue to remain one of the best teams in the country. And if you do that, you'll take care of your conference. So I think that's always our biggest goals. In the beginning of the season, we set goals. We never set conference goals. We always try to look nationally, try to be one of those teams. And when you're one of those teams, you start getting those kids, that want to come to your team that'll easily help you win the conference. So I think, we may do it backwards, but that's the way we do it, and it's been working for us.
Okay. And overall, what's the competition like in the conference?
I think it's a really competitive conference. We had the Emmanuel kid from Talladega, national champion in the hurdles. So you know if Mike Tyson punching your face, that's going to sting, but you do know you still have to fight back. So I think it was storming 50 degrees and storming for our conference. So if somebody look at the time, they'd be like, what was going on there? Right. It was horrible weather, but that kid was able to pull every hurdler to a PR in the rain. So I think I think just having kids like that now in a conference, it solidifies the conference as being something serious now. Where before I got there, it was a Xavier / Edward Waters conference. Now it's the Dillard conference, and now you start putting those pieces like Voorhees has a national champion in triple jump. Like you start bringing those caliber kids into the conference, people are going to take the conference a little bit more serious, other than it's just one team or a couple of athletes. So I love the competition, man. It's only going to make the conference grow. It's going to make people that maybe not a HBCU school think about coming into the conference, because you know they're doing things the right way. It's competitive. It's competitive in all sports. We got a team in the Virgin Islands, like for Christ's sake, you know, like we got people, you know, from the Caribbean in our conference. So I think that brings just a different type of energy. All by itself. I know Talladega has a lot of international kids. That's a different type of energy. So I think the conference will be more competitive this year. It might be up to 13, 14 teams. Now, and when I first got here, it was 4 teams. And so in a matter of 4 years, the conference has grown almost triple in size. So I think it'll be competitive, but I'm still gonna stand on it has to go through us.
Right. Yeah, because I was talking to another coach, and we talked about the footprint of the conference, ranging from Ohio to Louisiana, and then from Texas
Arkansas
over to South Carolina. Well, and the Virgin Islands.
Yeah,
you know, so that's a very large footprint, and you know, you mentioned you mentioned programs like Stillman, but you know, you also have your Fisk is in now, and
Wiley's,
right,
Amanda Smith. Yeah, you competitive, Russ. You competitive. Like it's a competitive conference. Like I think there's a lot of schools that nobody ever heard of, and I think that's what makes it even more like attractive. So like you start making noise in that conference, people start peeking in to see what's going on. So I think by having those colleges that not too many people know of, not too people know of Dillard, and we nationally ranked. So and so you do the things to do to get your team heard, seen, the conference noticed. So when we go to national meets, we got on GCAC apparel, like because a lot of people might not even know what that is. So we try to bring, you know, a little light to it. I seen Talladega out there at national with the same stuff on. So I think it gives a light on the conference that otherwise, you know, nobody would even see it.
Yeah, because it kind of took me aback when I first heard the name of the new conference, HBCU Athletic Conference. I thought it was something else. I'm thinking, you know, when I first heard about it, before I actually started reading about it, I'm thinking, so it's the SIAC and the CIAA coming together, and are they bringing the NAIA schools? I mean, is this going to be just one big conference of small HBCUs? You know, what's going on here? And then, you know, kind of find out, because I'm friends with the communications director for the conference, with Danielle Wright, and so she kind of let me know what it was. I was like, oh, okay. So, and it may, and I think just from the rebranding, just from the name change, that's going to bring a lot of attention, upon the conference.
Because it was people that didn't know the GCAC was the only HBCU conference in the NAIA. When I go to the conferences in Orlando, they had and you're talking to people, they had no idea that that's the only conference. So it made sense to rebrand it that way. Now you know it is, opposed to just having to have a conversation about it. So I think that'll bring a lot of attention to it, and now you're growing it. It's actually growing. And I think you're bringing in competitive people to push it. So I think that's what we need for us nationally in every sport.
And I said it's interesting, because like, okay, so now you have this potential for this to be what we call a mega conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know there were some other mega conferences in the NAIA, but now you're going to have HBCU centric conference, and I'm wondering how many of the ones that used to be in the GCAC who left, how many of them will come back.
Yeah, it'll make it more competitive. Like, you know, you got Xavier out there. I know Langston still. Langston not in the conference, so you still have HBCUs out there. And you know, that might take a little time to persuade or get them to come over, or they may just want to come over on their own. But I think that it'll take some time, right? Because some of these people they go into contracts and everything like that. So, you know, that paperwork side got to be handled. But I would love to have all the competition that we can get, because it's only going to make the conference better. Like as a whole, I think.
Right. Well, Coach, tell us more about your postseason. How did things transpire at Nationals for you?
Yeah, so we was able to leave with 12 All-Americans. We set a goal for 13. So we was one short, but I mean, you know, that's a goal. I think we reached 95% of our goal. So I think successfully we did what we were supposed to do. That's what we set out to do, and we did it. We had a couple of spots. I think the girls 4x4, I knew we'd be on the outskirts, but sometimes when you see competition happening, you be like, we could have done a little bit better than that. Or we could have prepared a little bit better, but something was missed, right? But I think everything else kind of played out the way it played out. Jamal and Cavell, they both stepped up for the men and the women. The women's 4x1 stepped up. One of our key runners, Caleb McClendon, he was down. He was kind of hurt, nicked up throughout the season. So we knew the men's 4x1, you know, it wouldn't move forward, but he wanted to run it. And he was a senior, and the rest of the kids were like, we're going to run it with him. So he ran that probably 70% healthy. So, you know, they did it for him. And it just kind of led to the rest of the championships being great. I think that 4x1 loosened up everybody. So it kind of worked out. We had a bunch of PRs across the board. So the kids, I think they was prepared to go and compete. And like I always tell them, man, I don't care what you do out there and how nervous you get. I just want you to compete. Like when the gun go pow, compete. If that's you finishing last, if you can walk away and say, yeah, I left it out there, coach, I'm happy with that. Because a lot of times the girls are a young team. All those girls are coming back. Like my whole team coming back. We didn't have anybody transfer, so it was 100% retention. We got people coming in. So I think we built, and this might be probably one of our best years. They say it take 3 years to turn a program around. And this is year 5. So, you know, we had instant success, but, you know, I think this is the year that we're going to actually make a little noise. You know, we've been cricket. We've been making just a little bit, but I think this is the year that we're going to go out and make a splash. Cavell Bird will be a senior. Tanaja will be a senior. Jamal will be a senior. And I know those kids going to want to go out with a bang. So, you know, we're going to try to take them to some, you know, high quality meets this year that I know we're going to get our face stepped on, but we have to go. You know, we have to go and we have to compete at a high level early, you know, so when nationals come, it's just like a regular track meet for us. So I think that's one of the goals this year. You know, not granted, we run in D1 meets every week. So we prepared for it, but I think going out of state and like to Pennsylvania, maybe the Penn Relays again, like going somewhere like that where the stage is just huge, prepare us better for nationals. So that I think that's going to be the goal for the spring.
Okay. All right. So now, as far as All-Americans on the NAIA level, how's that determined?
Top 8. You fight, you fight 3 rounds, and well, with top 8, but 9 make it to the finals.
Right.
So you gotta even if you're injured, you gotta beat one person. And like you know, my kid, I think the girls finished 5th or 6th overall in the 4x1, and it was disappointed. Like sometimes the winning time would have been All-Americans in SECs or NCAA. So it's nothing, you know, to look down on. Like you ran, and I think a lot of time they forget that you had to go through rounds, and it was 150 teams, and you're ranked 6. So a lot of times you have to clear that out for them and be like, I know how you feel at this moment, but let this dust settle a little bit, and it makes so much sense to you. And we had a couple of girls. One of my sophomores, she was injured last season. She came back. Now she's healthy, running fast, and we finished 6th. She's mad, but I get it, right? I understand it, but I was like, just let this die now. I don't want the medal. I don't want the plaque. Let this die. Just let it die down. When it died down, she taking selfie after selfie. That was like, sometimes you just got to enjoy the moment, because it was a lot of kids that you beat to get to this spot that would love to have this moment. So, I think next year, now we more mature. Now, every one of my girls who put the work in has been to nationals. Every one of the guys have been to nationals. So now you know what it is. So now it's just a regular track meet. Go run, understand how to run through your rounds. Let's not shoot out low round 1, and then we have nothing for the following round. So I think just the maturity of the team and the coaches is a little bit better, because we have to do things that we don't normally do, right? Like, you gotta wait. You waking up every day early. I like to sleep in sometimes, but that's part of the game when you get to national championship, and it's long nights, early mornings, and you got to get kids recovered and fed and everything else that I think a lot of people don't see. Right. Because a lot of people just see the meat, but there's so much that goes into getting them to that point that I don't think a lot of people see, and some people probably don't even care to know. But the job, he does have to get done, and I think next year we'll be in a position of making a little bit more noise before these seniors get out of here.
Okay. Well, this is just a little tidbit, and not to pat myself on the back, but I did have something to do with the All-Americans that are awarded in the NAIA now.
Okay.
From back when I was
on the back.
I was an assistant commissioner for a conference, for one of the bigger conferences, and just had conversations with the Coaches Association.
Yeah.
And then with the NAIA, I was still on good, terms with everybody at the NAIA. So they were willing to listen, because at that time, the NAIA was the one who awarded the All-Americans. But my thing was, look, the Coaches Association already has a program. They're doing it for everybody else except you. So, and they have the rankings and everything else. So it just makes sense for you guys to go ahead and hook up. So it was like, well, there's no who we need to talk to. So I kind of hooked them up. And then, a few years later, I look up and they have the partnership. So like I said, I don't usually talk about it much, but I'm glad that now that program is in effect for the NAIA. So that your athletes can get that recognition. Because now it's on the Coaches Association website. There's archives there. So if you're All-American, there you can always go. And especially you get those little arguments with your buddies who don't believe. No, we go to this website and I'm gonna show you that I was All-American.
Right. No, I like that.
And so what awards did you receive this year, Coach?
Women's cross country coach of the year, women's and men's track and field coach of the year, and I was a finalist indoors and outdoors for the South Region coach of the year.
Okay.
We're gonna get one of those South Region coach of the year one of these years, but I mean, just to be on a list, and you see the list and you be like, I'm just happy to be here. So, I think we're going to get one of them one of these years. I was happy Jamal won the South Region Athlete of the Year. That was for everybody. We all won. I was on the list. Cavell was on the list. But long as one of us get it, we all win. So I think that's a testament to all the hard work that he put in, the coaching staff put in, his training partners put in. And that kid go out there and compete. He did well academically. Like he's starting to do everything the right way. So I think he's going to have a phenomenal year coming up. And he's already talked about national championship. So I'm dying to see how that's going to play out for him and the work that he's going to put in to get it. But we was happy to get that award. So we all won that award. you know, I understand what it is. I see it. And I was like, you know, a lot of time this is politics. But and I'm not a politicky type of person. So just to see that kid get it, I was like, okay, that's a testament to all the hard work everybody put in. So it don't matter who name on it, we got it at the university.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, tell us a bit about what you look for in your prospects, and if you can, also tell us about some of your incoming freshmen.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for when I'm recruiting a kid is consistency. You can see me your fastest time. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going straight to your athletic.net, your mile split, your T-FIRS if you have one. I'm gonna talk to a few coaches I know in that area just to see if you're consistent. You can run. If I'm a girl and I run a 57 and a 400, but I always run a 59, then you're not a 57 girl. I look for kids that's consistent. 1, 2 that can do more than just one thing. Because like you know, we're not a huge team, right? So we have to get kids that can. If you're a hurdler, you have to be able to do boat hurdles. You have to maybe be able to do one jump. Can you do relays? So I look to be, if I'm going to invest, we're going to invest. And you have to be able to do more than just one thing and at a high level also. So those are the 2 things I look for. Academically, you have to be sound. 3.0, anything under 3.0 is not a real conversation. Because if I'm under 3.0 in high school, the odds of me being over 3.0 in college is slim to none. Now, you know, sometimes you have kids come to college and they lock in. There's no distractions. There's no home problems. And they are able to obtain, you know, over 3.0. But a lot of times it's going to be the same story. Incoming people, I got a lot of them. On the men's side, Keymon Washington, I lost a couple of distance people. So I had to go out and I had to get one of the, I think one of the top distance people, especially in the New Orleans area. And he come from Edna Carr. So that works out. My alumni, I coached there for 10 years. So I always go home and I always get the kids. So we have him. We have a transfer, Matthew Fisher. He's from Houston. Went to Missouri Valley. He's a hurdler that can do a little bit of everything. My kind of kid. And we're looking for some more transfers on the men's side. But the men's pretty solid. On the women's side, I need to fill gaps that'll push me to the next level. So we got Tiana Dawkins from Jamaica. I think she's going to push Cavell. And I think that's going to help us out tremendously. We have a transfer, Yasmin Pines from University of Mobile. We have Charlie Bradley, transfer from Indiana Tech. We have Nia Butler, freshman from Dallas. So I think we're going to be able to, they're going to fulfill the sprints. Like I think we're going to be able to get a little bit thick in the sprints because we only had our 4 girls. So if any one of them would have went down, it was going to be like, uh-oh. But, you know, we have those group. They'll be a little thicker. We have Caitlin Gordon, a phenomenal 800-meter runner that can run cross country from Tampa, Florida. I met her, wait a minute. So I met her maybe like 4 years ago at club championships when it was out there in Orlando. And Dad introduced me. We've been in touch. She took her visit when she was in the maybe her fall of her 10th grade year. She committed then. So we had to wait 2 years. She's actually on campus now doing internship. So we got her down here. I think she's going to be phenomenal. I see school records out of here. They gone. Like she's really good and she's long. So, you know, and she got a little heart behind her. So I like those kind of kids. Who else we got coming in? We have Rain Snowden. She's a thrower from Los Angeles. Powerful, explosive. Talking to Mom, she was a help kid. So she don't look like your typical thrower. Like she looked like she can run, you know, so but she's explosive. And then we have our girls coming back. We had Trinity Marshall. She's kind of our Miss Do Everything. She was hurt a little bit of the season, but now she's back. She was able to come back, get on the podium in conference, and then have surgery. And man, these kids are just they're a little different. And she's already pretty much jogging. And this was like a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, I think we get Dilla back. She was out this season. She qualified last year in the hurdles for nationals, indoors and outdoors. So we get her back. She was injured. So we getting, I think, a lot of the pieces that helped be successful a couple of years ago. We're now getting those pieces back with the success we already had. So I think we'll be fine. I think Tori Burton is waking up. I think she's one of the best sprinters in the country. I could be biased, you know, but I think she's like, she came in around like a 12.6.
Right.
You 11.8, 24 low now. So you something to be dealing with. And the one thing I do like about all the kids, they're loyal. They've had D1s knocking on their doors, and they come have conversations. And I think that's the one thing I can respect about this group of kids that I have. Like, they're like, the outside distractions, we always going to have conversations, like, no matter what the case is. And I think, you know, we filling the roster really well with the incoming people that we have.
Okay. And so, like, the kids that you get from New Orleans, do they primarily stay on campus, or do they stay at home? Or
shockingly, I would love for them to stay off campus, save me a little money, but they stay on campus.
Okay.
They stay on campus, you know, like, they understand, like, this is an opportunity for me to continue to do what I love, but I also want the college experience.
Right.
And like I tell them, like, you can go home whenever you want to, but a lot of them like that independence of being able to stay up all night, call their own shots, coming in and out their dorm room, their apartments, you know, stuff like that. So now we have a lot of kids that if we have 12 New Orleans kids, I think we might have 11 that's on campus. Yeah, so all of them pretty much stay on campus to get that college life. I'm not mad at them for it, but, you know, it'll save me a buck or two. But
okay, definitely understand that. And so, let's talk a bit about the institution. Because you mentioned something very important a few times, and that is your expectations for their GPA while they're there. One of the things that I admire about Dillard, and I've actually told some other institutions this, the Dillard model for online campus is what I would suggest for everybody, because when I looked at it, Dillard offered all majors as brick and mortar, online, or hybrid.
right.
So you have your choice. And meanwhile, a lot of other institutions, they might have, you know, 10 of their programs online, you know, 6 of their programs online. I know one did some extensive promoting, and when I went to their website, they only had 2 programs online. And so this was at a time I was trying to help an institution as far as that institution getting its online presence started. And I was like, look, you need to do what Dillard's doing, because that's going to put everything you have online versus what you have right now.
Right.
And so, but what's it like at Dillard academically?
Rigorous. No other word to put it. The teacher is I think it's no different than sports, right? The professor is the coach, and they're going to push you. And for some kids, they can take that pushing and they can get in and lock in. And it's for some kids, they're going to quit, aka drop the class, right? So I think it's rigor. I like it because nothing in the world is easy,
right?
Like, at all. So I think it's a position where kids can learn from so many different spots on the campus that, oh, these people are holding me accountable. And I think for kids who don't want to be held accountable, they're going to go the easy route and they're going to find classes or teachers that's easiest. And that's just, that's just what it is. Like, the job is too hard. Let me go find an easier job, right? It may pay less, but it's easier. But I think, like, just the rigor of just, and no teachers are no nonsense. You miss a track meet, you still got to make this work up. And I respect that. because you are here to finish the education journey, not, you're here. So not saying the Olympics is far-fetched, but I think academics is way more important than you trying to make the Olympics. Because once you're overweight and you can't run as fast no more, now what? So I think that's, for me, that's always been my push is academics. So when teachers give those kids a hard time, especially when they're not doing this they're supposed to be doing, I'm all for it. I'm not the coach that's emailing nobody.
Right. And I guess Gabby Thomas proved that the Olympics is not far-fetched, if you focus on academics, because she graduated from Ivy League school.
Harvard, yeah.
And so, and that everybody knows that's very rigorous as well. And I guess people do not realize though that you have some HBCUs that can be considered like Ivy League schools, like a Dillard, your Xavier's and several other, of course, the Spelmans and Morehouse is always in that conversation. So, we have a lot of academic centrist HBCUs that could probably, like I said, they could probably rival those Ivy League and Big Ten schools. And so, and what are some of the biggest majors there?
Nursing, business. We have a lot of kids in psychology, like a lot. And public health. Those are, I would say, the top 4, but nursing for sure. We have one of our girls on in that program. I be praying for the baby. Hey, you got clinicals and practice, and I'll be like, at the end of the rainbow, it'll make so much sense for you. But it be days I have to be like, go take a nap. Don't even worry about practice today. I see it on your face, right? Like, just go take some time to yourself. And I think that's the pleasure of working at a smaller school, right? I have more control over what I do with my team. So if I want to give them a mental health day, that's what we call it. That's it. Nobody asking me why or what are you doing or anything like that, because Dr. Bell trusts I know what I'm doing in my program. So it'd be days like that. You might have a kid that come and you can see it on her face, and I'd be like, just go back. Just go. No, because I want to practice. No, go back, take a nap, go eat something. I know you're not, just go do something for yourself, and then she'll come back the next day and refresh. So I think that's the benefits of working somewhere with a smaller school. I have more say so in what I do with my kids.
Okay, so yeah, that's interesting, and like I said, it's just a testament to that atmosphere down there at Dillard. Like you said, it's a smaller school. You're not dealing with let's say 100 or so athletes, and you don't have somebody breathing down your neck,
right?
All the time, asking you, hey, how come so and so's not doing this, or how come so and so's not doing that? So you have what you can manage,
right?
I guess that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
So everybody can't say that.
No. And any headaches you have, you bought in.
Right.
So you recruited the headache. So you got to be mindful when you're going through that recruiting process of who you're bringing in.
And so you also mentioned something that's unique about the NAIA, especially compared to the NCAA. And that's with the young lady who's coming in. You recruited her years ago.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can do in the NAIA. And actually, when I used to at some coaches clinics, I used to do a session on college recruiting. And so, and I had them all up there: NCAA, NAIA, NCCAA, USCAA. I had all of them up there, even JUCO, and was explaining to coaches how you know, the differences between all of them. And NAIA was that one. It was like, look, you know, if you see a kid in 7th grade and you think they got potential, you go talk to that kid.
You can get that kid.
Right. Better not try that as an NCAA coach, though.
You lose your job. You're gonna lose your job. You sure will.
Because you do have phenoms out there.
Yeah.
I know I met I forgot her first name, but this young lady, last name Williams, long time ago, and she ended up becoming a high level NCAA track and field athlete. But I met this girl when she was like, I think she was like 11 or 12. And her mom was the one that, in fact, she was knocked out. She was knocked out in the car, in their vehicle. And I was talking to her parents, and parents were like, yeah, she's national champion, and she's that, and all this, that, and the other. And this is probably kids you want to start following at that particular age, because she's breaking records and everything else at that age.
Right.
So her trajectory was already heading in the right direction. Then you have parents who are track coaches. You know, it's hard to go wrong unless, you know, and parents who actually competed, so they know how not to burn the kid out.
Right.
Because I've seen that happen too, but most of the time that's because you got parents pushing kids at a young age. Yeah, the kid is excelling at that young age, but you're pushing them to a point where they're also going to peak at a younger age.
Right.
And then after that, you know, they've lost their motivation. They don't, you know, in fact, that happened to one of my kids. You know, that kid ran at every, and I kind of joked about it. I was like, well, dang it, you know, we had 1, 2, 3. We have 3 county high schools. And this is the only kid that ran at every one of them. And was always, you know, something, you know, with the coaches. You know, that's the parents' perspective. Coaches, you know, this, that, and the other. And so by the time that kid became a senior, she had quit track and field and picked up soccer. But she had been recruited by an NAIA coach.
Right.
And so she'd already committed, I think it might have been her sophomore year or junior year. And I talked to the coach. He was like, yeah, she came up to me asking me, she's like, Coach, I'm not running this year. I'm, you know, playing soccer. Is that scholarship still gonna be good?
Absolutely not.
And so, you know, and he did. He still honored the scholarship and brought her on and everything. And so, but she just didn't. She didn't become who she should have been.
Right.
So, I guess those are some of the chances that you as NAIA coaches, you know, do kind of take from time to time, depending on who the kids are. But I still think it's great that you're able to recruit them at an early age and get them acclimated to your institution first, and then to your program.
Yeah, it has its gift and its curse. So you can recruit a kid that no one knows. And the moment that kid posts that they have gotten a first offer from wherever university, and all of a sudden these D1s come knocking because you didn't set the platform for them. So I think that is the curse of it. The gift, if you can keep it quiet and you can get the kid, there you go. I.e. Cavell Bird. Like, she should have been D1, you know, somewhere like that, but it was one of my kids from summer track. She ran summer track for me. So that's how I was able to kind of just keep it in house, and it didn't really get out until she started running, and Now Division I schools in the inbox. So, so that's where we at with that. But now it has its gifts and its curse for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, Coach, what are as far as the majors that your athletes take, what seems to be the one that most of them
Public health. Public health, because I think it's a big spider web with that one. So you can go many different directions with it. You can go from kinesiology, you can go chiropractor. Like I think so you can go in and get the foundational classes in public health. And a lot of the kids who go into nursing and it become just a little bit overwhelming for them, they can just drop down to public health and not lose credits or anything like that. And you're probably going to graduate a semester or two early. So I think public health for us is probably the biggest one. And we have a lot of kids in business. And that who knew all those business courses would have a lot of math in it, but it does. Okay. So now I think for sure public health and business are two of the ones that, we have in the past. We have a lot of nurses, but all those kids have graduated. But we had a lot of nurses when I first got here. It was like maybe 12 of them. And I had to kind of, I'm trying to make the rules and regulations on how the program is going to run. And I had to like sit down separate with them to see like how would that interfere with what I'm trying to do. That's why when fast forward now, I get a little girl get out the car coming from nursing, and I know she's coming from nursing. And you had that look on your face. I'm now experienced enough to know that you need a moment. So, now, just building the academic program around our program is just what we do well.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Dr. Bell, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that she was the one who set this interview up, and I really appreciate it. I did have I guess a type of relationship with your former SID, but I thought it was great, and I had to email her and ask her, hey, who's your contact?
Right.
Oh, don't worry about it. Send it to me. Send me the information. And then next thing, we going back and forth that same night. And I'm sitting up initially thinking, oh, well, I won't hear from her till the next day or so. No, this is nighttime.
Oh no, she texts me. She texts me about 10:30. So I know you're not lying. No, she literally lives in her email. Like I always, you got to take a break. And when you talk to AXA, you have to take a break. You have to take a vacation. You have to, like, she leaves. I guarantee you she's in the office right now. Like, you have to take a break. Like, she goes and goes and goes and goes. Like, she goes. And I always tell you, got to take some time to yourself, like to reset. And when she go reset, she's still working. So now I do believe that's why we're in the position that we're in. I think Dr. Barnes did a really good job moving the program. I had both of them for 2 years. So I think I can compare the two, and I think they're one and the same. I think two successful women that have goals, and they're going to reach their goal by any means possible. And I think she picked up perfectly where Dr. Barnes left off, and now she's moving it, I think, to another height. We get new gym floors, these small things like that. I think she came in and she was like, okay, let me. The program is the program, right? We're going to get good coaches in. We're going to build a program. But like in the process of this, when you come in our house, you're going to say, okay, that's a nicely built house. I think she came in and that was her thought process was to get this thing looking good. So I think she did a really good job, picking up and moving it forward, but she got to take some time off. She got to give herself a break, man. She don't give herself a break at all.
Well, I'm just happy that you do have a leader like that, though, who, if evidently if there's some slack that needs to be taken, she'll take it. And
absolutely.
Because like I said, I was just totally shocked. I'm like, oh, hold up, she getting back with me, like, very quickly, and like, hey, okay, and like you said, we had it worked out, and I'm like, man, okay. So So kudos to her. I'll be the first one here today to give her props. But as far as everything else falling in line, what kind of support do you get from like the school? I'm sorry, the university, and from the community?
So community is a community, right? I think for support from the community, we don't need none. I think
Mhm.
we go and support the community.
Mhm.
I think just athletics as a whole had over 1,400 community service hours.
Mhm.
Like just track and field alone, we have 400 community service hours. So we don't need, I don't think anything from the community but support.
Mhm.
And then I think it's our job to go in the community and let them people know, like, you know, the logo, right? So I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest thing for that. And anything past that, Dr. Bell,
Mhm.
Dr. Bell, like she would rather her talk to someone on your behalf,
Mhm.
right? Because she's going to word it in a way that makes sense for everybody.
Mhm.
If you know, once you get in coaching mode, you don't think clearly. You're in coach's mode. So you
Right.
may say something that, yeah, no. So I think I go directly to Dr. Bell.
Mhm.
When something I think could be handled a certain kind of way, and she
Mhm.
normally takes care of it. Like, you know, because that's her job, right? She know how to do her job and she does it well. So I think, you know, I go to her and she normally takes care of it. Because once you, and she always said, I know once y'all get in coach's mode, y'all in coach's mode. And that's why I want y'all to be. So like the little things that has to happen and stuff like that, she always
Mhm.
take care of it. Even if she have someone in the position to take care of it, she's gonna
Mhm.
take care of it. And again, back brings me back to my she needs to take a vacation, take a break.
Mhm.
Like she got, you know, little time for her and her daughter. But nah, I think we move in the right direction. I think as long as we continue to push every coach on the staff, push their program to be great,
Mhm.
oh man, sky's the limit.
Okay. And so, you kind of you've touched on it quite a few times, the mental health aspect, and you already mentioned how you're able to sense when some of your student athletes need a timeout, even up to the athletic director needing a timeout.
Right.
Um, do or does Dillard have some professionals on staff, or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we have man, a bunch of kids that go, even if they just having a rough day,
Mm-hmm.
they go and make a visit with one of the therapists, talk it out. Some kids like just talk to their coaches, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but we don't practice on Friday at
Mm-hmm.
all. So that's their day. Want to go home, you can go home. You know, some kids don't even have class on Friday. That's your
Mm-hmm.
day you sleep in. Like, so we don't practice on Friday like on purpose, right? To
Mm-hmm.
give us that break. We all need a break from each other. Like if I see my wife every single day,
Mm-hmm.
eventually somebody gotta leave the house. Like somebody gotta leave the house. Somebody has to leave the house. Like we both can't be in the house. And I think I take that same approach with my team. Like I know y'all love each other and everything, but eventually you're gonna start butting heads when you see each other every single day. And I
Mm-hmm.
think us having Friday off, and they do have those resources to go and talk to one of those certified therapists, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
just to get it off their brain.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. And then we have kids that cannot verbally express themselves, so they
Mm-hmm.
can go to those people and they can kind of help them work that out. So yeah, we do have the resources. They have a whole department like that take care of that for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, how about yourself and your coaches? Do you use those services as well?
So I don't use the services because again, I'm 41 and I know how to kind of cope myself.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when we have those days where the kids are off
Mm-hmm.
on Friday, we don't come in the office till like 10.
Okay.
So we still have, you know, your morning to listen to music or however you get yourself calmed down or riled up or whatever it is that
Mm-hmm.
we still have those moments. The off season is probably when you're the most calmest. It's
Mm-hmm.
cross country is more laid back. When track season, when January hit, ain't no
Mm-hmm.
sleep happening, no sleep, no, you know, like all those things go out the window
Mm-hmm.
for 4 or 5 months. But I try to get the best balance I can. I got 2 kids, so I
Mm-hmm.
can't exert too much energy throughout the day, because I gotta have something left over. So I try to do the best balance that I can. And I know Coach Brandon the same way. Like, we're not going to overwork ourselves. It used to be, oh man, I work 365 days, 7 days a week, 24 hours. I'll be lying to you, right? Every day look different. You may have an early day, a late day. You like it just looks different now, right? On Sunday, I try to not involve anything work related. On Saturday, I try not to. You really can't, right? You got a bunch of kids. You still got 40 to 50 kids. So somebody's going to have an issue. But like on Sunday, I try to just bring it down. Like just kind of bring it down. So I try to use that day to just center. You got family too. You got to spend time with your family. So I try to balance that out as best as I can. So that's where we at. So far, so good.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I hope that a lot of coaches, especially those who are not on the collegiate level, realize how important decompressing is, and you know, finding a system to decompress.
Yeah.
You know, I know that was valuable for me when I was an educator. Fortunately, the schools where I taught were like 30, 45 minutes away from where I live. So, and my peers always ask me, how come you're never stressed? Like, you know, one, you know, while I'm driving to work, I'm praying.
Right.
And listening, you know, have my music on. On the way home, I'm reflecting. And so by the time I get home, I'm not thinking about school.
No, I try not to ever bring it home, but you know, it follows. It normally follows, but I try to, you know, the kids I would say are respectful of like boundaries. Like they know unless it's an emergency. Like if I got a question for coach, that could wait till in the morning. Emergency, they know it don't matter the time. But like, you know, they again, I think that's a communication that you have with your team. Like I'm 24/7 for y'all. If it's important. Like you saying, hey coach, what are we eating when we travel? Yeah, you can wait. That can wait. That can wait. But you know, I like, you know, I like the game. It's a game with the kids, you know, like you text me at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm text you at 1:01. So you know, so it's a game. But nah, I definitely love doing this track thing, man.
Okay. All right. Well, coach, who are the biggest influences in your career?
I think my mom. I think I've been asked that question a bunch of times. I think my answer has been the same every time. Single mother, grind, work multiple jobs. And I think now that I ain't call her older, she just turned 60, so that's not really old. But I think now still seeing her do the exact same thing is insane to me. Like 2 businesses, you still work. She's a model. She have a modeling school. They just model that essence. Like she don't sit down. Wow. Like and like you don't have to take care of me. You don't have to do all this. But then you start realizing like she trained herself like that, and like it's just nonstop. And she always wanted the grandkids. So when do you have time to even sit down? So I think just seeing her, man, grind like that, it kind of gave me the pick up and go to be able to just start something and make it successful or make it fail. And then you learn from that and then you keep pushing. I think that's always going to be my influence for me.
Okay. Well, coach, as we prepare to wrap up, this is the time that I give you to shout out anyone you want to shout out.
Nah, man, my team, my incoming kids, my old kids that know I'm gonna give them a headache in about less than a month. My kids who just graduated, my wife who puts up with all this nonsense, and I think she gets it because she did track in college. So I think that's the only reason that we are still moving forward the way we moving forward. My kids, and you know, I just thank you for giving the opportunity to be back on your show. I know we missed last year, but it's always good chatting with you as usual. Hopefully we win some more of these awards this year. We had a successful year. I know David Oliver over there will be having this thing at Georgia Southern. So yeah, you know, we're working too.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, you know, like I said, you've actually won more of the Makita Excellence Awards than anybody.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear.
And so, and that's as an individual. So,
Yeah.
you know, you've set the standard on that. You finally got some competition last year. So,
yeah, I seen that. I was like, okay, I gotta step my game up. Nah, that's good stuff though. I'm glad to see it's growing, man. I'm glad I had a chance to be in the early on phase of it and to watch it grow to where it is now is crazy.
Yeah, so I know Dr. Bell be getting an email later on today for nominations for the 23-24 award. So you know, I can't be biased.
Right.
But you know, once again, those awards, as I tell everybody, those awards are determined by your peers.
Right.
I don't have any other media involved. I don't have any commissioners or any officials involved. These are all coaches. And so to me, that speaks more volume about the award because you're being recognized by your peers.
Not a committee. Right.
Yeah. And so, well, Coach, we do want to thank you for participating in this chat. And we hope that you and your program continue to have much success. And we'll definitely be following your developments. And we also want to thank you, the viewers, for watching this episode of Chat with HBCU Champions. Please visit www.rice.org for more information on our replays and more HBCU information. And please have a blessed week.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. 502 represent Jesse James. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gon' first round for my city. Dog, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a jump, watch him get his head lumped for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gon' first round for my city. Dog, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped for my city. Cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her naming like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting, ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.